Okay. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, Doc, it's visible.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. I'm trying to put on my video, but I can't see my video. Okay, I found it. It's been a while since I did Zoom. Okay, so thank you, Ida, for organizing this. And thank you for putting me at the first month, which means I can rest for the rest of the year. So as Ida said, every month we'll be having some lecture coming out of the Special Education Needs Department. The topics will cut across, and this month I've been tasked to talk about birth defects. The theme for this year's celebration of the month and the awareness of the month defects, birth defects, the theme is Every Journey Matters. And I want us to think about this as we learn about birth defects. The main aim for doing these lectures is for advocacy, education, and awareness. And we hope that as we educate and people get to know, stigma will reduce so that no matter the special needs an individual or a child has or a family has, their journey will matter and everybody in the community will support them to make their lives better. So for this lecture, I'll be going through definition and introduction to birth defects. I hope you have your pens and your notebooks because I will be going into the lecture room. So you guys will be students once again, and you should take notes. I'll give you an introduction to genetics. There's no way we can not mention genetics as a topic when it comes to birth defects. We'll talk about the causes and the risk factors, and then I'll show you some examples, and then we'll end with health education, prevention of some, and then talk about advocacy and stigma. So we know that birth defects, or I prefer to say, yeah, you could call it birth defects. The medics or the medical professionals will call it congenital anomalies or malformations, whatever the name is. What this means are structural and functional changes or differences you see in a baby when they are born. It is a very big, major global cause of infant death and disability. And it can affect any part of the body. The examples I gave will be few parts, but it can affect literally any part of the body. And what happens is that once there's a change in either the structure, the function, or both, it affects the way the body works or the way the body looks, or both. And the defects or the changes or the differences range from just very minor changes that sometimes cannot be seen. For me, I have one. I have this pointy thing on my ear, which is like a defect for my tendon. And so I like to hide my ears, but it's so little. Some of us will have some birthmarks. So these are all just little different things. But it could also be quite major. And we'll see some. It could be major changes or defects in the heart, in the brain, in any major part of the body that eventually will cause challenges in the person. Some are very obvious, and we'll see in some of the pictures, but others are also very subtle. Like if a child is born and they have a hearing impairment. If you do not do a newborn hearing screen, if you do not actually look for it, you may not know. And I have children coming to the office who are 3, 4, and are not talking, and we are now realizing it's because they cannot hear properly. So some of the defects are so subtle, they are not obvious, they are not physical structures, so you can't see. If a child has a hole in heart or congenital heart disease, depending on how severe it is, the doctors may not see right away when the child is born. It's maybe once the child is now growing and they are not thriving well, then we begin to see. So some of them are hidden, while some of them are very obvious for us to see. And some of them need special tests to be able to identify. So something like sickle cell disease, which is very common in our sub-region. If you do not go and test, if you don't screen and you don't test, you wouldn't know that your child has sickle cell disease because it won't just show. It is only when they start having complications that the doctors will then suspect that something is going on. The worldwide prevalence is about 6%. So to put it in more practical terms, using US statistics, we know that every 4.5 minutes, a baby is born with some kind of birth defect, be it minor or major or in between. Or 1 in 33 babies will be born with a defect, or 120,000 babies will be born in a year who will have some kind of a defect. And they can occur at any stage during the pregnancy. But most important is the first trimester, which is the first 3 months of pregnancy. Most of the birth defects will occur during the first 3 months. And you guys will know that a lot of women sometimes will not even know they are pregnant till it is 8 weeks or 3 months before they realize they are pregnant, if they are not expecting it or if they did not plan for it. The most important thing I want you to go away with is that the major preventable cause of birth defects is called fetal alcohol syndrome. This is more of a major defect. And this is when a woman takes alcohol during pregnancy and it can affect the fetus, it can affect the baby in different ways. So that's one preventable one, because if there's no alcohol in the system, there's no way you can get fetal alcohol syndrome. So I want us to remember that and be advocates for fetal alcohol syndrome. But the causes usually are a complex mix. Some of them we can prevent, others we cannot prevent. So what about statistics in Ghana? I gave statistics for the US and for worldwide. So as usual, we do not have prevalence studies for Ghana, but we do have some studies, and I was pleasantly surprised when I was looking through things that we do have. We do have some studies when it comes to birth defects. So in Kumasi, Komfo Anokye, Kote and Bonny looked at 161 cases over 4 years, and they found different defects, including anorectal defects, cleft lip, spina bifida. We'll talk about some of them when we look at the examples. So this was according to significance. And then in Cape Coast, please, can you all mute your mics so that it does not disturb us? Somebody is doing something somewhere. Okay, so in Cape Coast, Anani Fening and a few others looked at a 10-year retrospective study. So they looked 10 years back at the Cape Coast teaching. They looked 10 years back at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital and looked at their surgical departments and their neonatal departments. And they saw that 2.8% of all the baby admissions were made up of birth defects. And they found a prevalence of 8.6 per 1,000 births. And their mortality rate was almost a third. They found more defects like neural tube defects, or what we'll call common ones like spina bifida. And then they found chromosomal anomalies. The most common one we know will be Down syndrome. And they also found cardiac defects. Then in Tamale, the surgical neonatal admissions, they looked at 247 cases in a period of 3 years. And out of these 247 cases, 87% were due to birth defects. Birth defects like omphalocele, imperforate anus, spina bifida. And then sub-Saharan Africa, there was a systemic review or meta-analysis in sub-Saharan Africa. They looked at 9 countries in the region, looked at 25 studies, and came with a pooled prevalence of 20 per 1,000. This is just to tell us that it is significant. It's not rare. It's not rare at all. Okay. So I've assessed some of these things. As I said, congenital disorders or birth defects are structural or functional differences that can occur before the baby is born. Sometimes they can be treated surgically. Other times there are non-surgical options that are available. And sometimes they cannot be treated at all. Some of them are very minor, but others can lead to lifelong impacts. So now let me introduce you to genetics. I hope you have your pens and your paper. I've tried to make it as simple as possible because it's really important to know at the end that defects are not due to, most defects, especially those due to genetic variations, are not due to anybody's faults. Unfortunately, in our sub-region and in our country, when we see things that are atypical, what we call is abnormal, what is not usual, what looks different, then we try and put all sorts of reasons to it. It is spiritual, it is due to a curse, is somebody punishing somebody, all sorts of things. It's really important for us to understand the mechanics so that we can then advocate and make sure that we reduce the stigma. So I'm going to introduce you to genetics. I'm sure you've heard things like DNA, genes, chromosomes, all these things. So when we say DNA or we say genes or chromosomes in the human, we are talking about the biological blueprints that holds the information the body needs for the body structure, for the body function, for the body development. Please remember this one. So the blueprint is like what? If you are using a building, you want to build a story building, you go to see the architects, and the architects will draw how the building is supposed to look like with the plumbing, the electricals, all those things. So that's the blueprint. Same way our bodies have a blueprint. That blueprint has and holds all the instructions and informations about how our body works, how our body looks, and how our body develops right from when we are born. So the way your eyes look, the way your ears look, the way your hair, your height, your weight, all those things have instructions in your blueprints, which could be the basic one is the DNA, your genes, the chromosomes, okay? When it comes to when we say the DNA, that's the basic and the simplest format of the blueprint. And let's use Madam Ida's field and say that the instruction is given through letters, okay? And truthfully, in science, it is given through letters, just that the letters mean something else. So the instruction is given through a series of alphabets or letters. That's the simplest thing. That's the simplest way to understand DNA and genes. The letters will make up words, okay? So let's think of the DNA as the single letters. Think of genes as the letters being put together. So group of letters to make up a word. And then we have plenty words to make up a book. So the letters will be the DNA, the words will be the genes, and the book will be the chromosomes. I hope I've explained it a bit better. So for example, if we are talking about a gene, and using analogy of a car, each part of the car engine, like the fan belt, the air filter, the exhaust, whatever, is given instruction, is formed through a gene, a group of letters will give instruction that do this, 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 this in the body and form a this. That's what happens, okay? But sometimes we can have what we call spelling mistakes or spelling errors. So as the baby is forming, there's so many instructions that have to be given for that beautiful baby boy or baby girl to now come out. The kind of things that are happening before that baby comes out. There are millions and millions of instructions. And just like a factory, sometimes when you are copying things, you are transferring instruction from one place to another, sometimes errors can happen. And these errors we'll call genetic mutations. These errors can happen in nature. It happens in human beings. It can happen in plants. It can happen in animals. It can happen in bacteria. So when there's a change, then we say that there's been a mutation. And as we talk, you realize that a lot of the time, some of these birth defects are due to these errors when the baby is born. So for example, let's say mutations are called spelling errors. So the first word you can see here is spelling. I've spelled spelling. If I'm transferring, the body is transferring this instruction that this is the word we are supposed to instruct into spelling. And then in an error, they say spelling. Even though they've left one L, most of you can see that I was trying to spell spelling, right? And so in that sense, that instruction will come out. It may be a minor defect or it may be a major. But sometimes too, instead of doing spelling, now see the whole thing is reversed. It's not even recognizable as the first word. So you can have minor changes like that, and you can have big changes. Most of the time, the minor changes may not do anything. And the truth is that all of us will have some kind of spelling or genetic errors in us. Most of the time, they do not do much in the body. They do not have an effect because the major ones will be spelled correctly. But however, once in a while, the errors will go into a place where it's a major instruction. And that is when we get the birth defects, okay? So what causes these errors? It could be spontaneous. Nobody knows how it comes. But sometimes it could be environmental things, chemical or physical agents like radiation, infectious agents, chemicals, etc. So in this slide here, you can see that the main original sequence of letters that was supposed to be copied, like a photocopy, is the one on top. Then as we were copying the thing, instead of copying T, we copied C and put it there. That's an error. You may think it's, oh, we have thousands and thousands of things we are supposed to copy. So if you make only 1 point mistake, it doesn't matter. But sometimes 1 point mistake can cause big, big, big effects in the body. And so it could be a change in the letter. It could be what we call a deletion. So in deletion means that if you look at the first one, we're supposed to copy ABC, then we copied BC. Or it could be a duplication. We're supposed to copy ABC, then we copied ABC. It could be an inversion. We're supposed to copy ABC, we copied CBA. It goes on like that. It could be insertion, it could be translocation. These are all technical, so I won't spend much time on it. So as I said, the categories could be big. It could be a minor or major, or it could be structural. So structural will be that we can see it's like the structure of the organ or of the body has been changed. So we'll see things like clubfoot, cleft lip, heart defects. Is the structure of the organ or the body that has been changed. It could be functional. Functional means that the organ or the body looks okay. You take a picture of the heart, it may look okay, but it's not pumping properly. Or you take a picture of the brain, it looks like everything is in place, but it is not working as it's supposed to be working, okay? So it could be functional. or it could be chromosomal. So chromosomal, remember, if you guys remember, I think when I finish, I'll test you on genetics. If you remember, I said chromosomal will be the books. All of us are supposed to have 46 pairs of books as the human complements of the chromosome. But sometimes we can have more, like in Down syndrome, the 21 book, the pair, instead of having 21 books, you can have 3, and then it gives you Down syndrome. Or you can have 3 of the 18, then it gives you trisomy 18, and so on. Or we can have structural defects. The books itself, some of the pages may be torn out of it, or the cover may be bent, things like that. All right? Okay. So I think I've covered what causes birth defects. We'll go a little bit into the risk factors. So majorly, about 60% of them will be unknown. I mean, we'll know that it's a genetic change, but we won't know why there was a genetic change. So I call it genetic lottery. I heard that somewhere. And when I explain to parents, they seem to understand that one. It's a lottery. No, it's nobody's fault. We don't know how it happened. It has happened. That's major. But some of them could be environmental. So toxins and things in the environment that are so bad for the body that it actually changes the gene, or it changes the DNA, or it changes something in the chromosome to cause an effect. Okay, so those are the major causes. Now let's go to the risk factors. These are very important because some of these risk factors can be prevented. So the ones we can prevent, we should prevent. The ones that we cannot prevent, once it happens, we have to support. Okay, so basically, we've talked about the genetics, something like socio-demographic factors. So we know that high maternal age. So the older a woman grows, the more at risk you are to get genetic differences and spelling errors in your babies. Something called consanguinity. So consanguinity is when you intermarry in the family, or you are very closely related. Because what happens is that if you have a spelling error in you, it is highly likely that your immediate family will also have similar spelling errors. So if you intermarry and your genetic instructions are so alike, then you are more likely to have more spelling errors. It's as simple as that. That's consanguinity. And I'm sure some of you have seen those videos of those strange families in Europe, where I saw one where there was a family where they married themselves. This is nuclear family, mother, father, children just marrying themselves, and the kind of effects that they had. So that's consanguinity. Then drugs and alcohol, that is a very, very important one. So I'm talking about these drugs I'm talking about are like illegal drugs, the cocaines and the marijuanas and the narcotics and things. If you're a user, you are more likely to cause genetic defects in your baby. And then we've talked about alcohol. That one is really, really known that alcohol can cause fetal alcohol syndrome. And fetal alcohol syndrome, we are not doing FAS today, but it causes changes and challenges and disability in the baby from head to toe, from the brain to the facial features, to the behavior, to the learning, to all sorts of things. Okay, but alcohol, smoking, doing drugs, all those things can cause serious damage to babies. Then environmental factors. These days, we're talking about trying to reduce galamsey, so that because our waters are also dirty and contaminated, our soils are getting contaminated. These chemicals, pesticide chemicals, lead, mercury, radiations, they all affect our genes in some way. We are not sure exactly how, but we know it affects our genes. And there are cases where you know that the environmental toxicity is so much, you get more children who are born with birth defects. Then vaccine preventable infections. The big one is rubella, what we call German measles. If a mom has German measles whilst they're pregnant. They may not feel anything. They may have a small fever, a small rash. But if the mom has that infection whilst she's pregnant, the baby in the womb who also may get that infection comes out with different and serious birth defects. So infections like rubella, chickenpox, toxoplasmosis, all those things, HIV, CMV, if it affects the baby in the womb, the baby can come out with birth defects. It says that high-grade fevers and other infections are risk factors for birth defects. And so that is why it's so important that as pregnant women, if you are pregnant and you are sick, you always need to go to your doctor for them to check and make sure that everything is okay if there's some infection so that it can be treated. Inadequate nutrition, that's a big one, especially folic acid, folate, micronutrients, and iodine deficiency can actually cause birth defects in children. And we will learn that the folate, which is folic acid, if you are deficient in folate, it can cause the neural tube defect. So the structure that forms the brain and your spine, if you don't have enough folate in your body as a woman, and the baby is now forming that tube that is now going to form the brain and the spine, you can have defects. That's when you get spinal bifida and all those other things. Obesity has also been associated with increased risk of birth defects. There are some of the drugs that we also give as doctors, not a lot, but some of them are there. The ones we know for sure are sodium valproate. That's an anti-seizure medication. And then isotretinoin, that is a medication we give for acne, the dermatologist gives for acne, severe acne. If you are taking that during pregnancy, you have a higher risk of having birth defects. So I've written here, viewer discretion is advised. For the health professionals, they've seen this several times. But for some of you parents, I know you may never have seen some of these things. So if you know that you can't see certain things, then you can cover your eyes when you see and you don't want to see again. And so that I don't cause any mental health issues. But these are examples. So as I said, any structure in the body can have a defect. So this one, we are looking at the hands. The first picture going from my left, so your right maybe, or no, yes, from the left. We can have what we call webbed fingers or syndactyly. It means that the two fingers, you can see the fifth and the fourth fingers are stuck together. It could have been stuck together just by skin, or it could be stuck together by bone, which means that we have to do surgery to relieve it. This would say it's a minor defect. But look at the middle one. The middle one will cause split hand. So instead of the hands sizing up into the 5 fingers, it splits into only 2. Then the third one is what we call polydactyly. So polydactyly means that there's an extra finger. Sometimes it's just a small skin tag. There's no bone inside, there's no muscle. So you see that the midwife will use a thread to tie the bottom, and then it will just fall off. But sometimes it will come as a full finger with a bone and everything, which means that then we have to go and use surgery. It could be the foot. This is quite common. We have club foot, so that the foot is turned inwards, or you can have talipes valgus. That's the opposite of the club foot, where the foot is turned outwards. These I would say they are not major. Maybe they are moderate. These ones can also be treated. So you usually will see the physio and the orthopedics, and then they can cast it and treat for you. Let's go to the head. So look at the head. We can go for major, the first picture, major, where the whole brain did not form. We call that anencephaly, means the brain did not form at all. So you can see just the child's face, and the whole skull is very small. Those children usually do not last. They can't survive because the brain is the whole thing. If you don't have the brain, you can't survive. The middle one is called an encephalocele. So that's where I talked about things like the neural tube defects. So if you have deficiency in folate, and folate, you can get folate from things like green leafy vegetables, beans, and the colored fruits and vegetables, and what again, nuts, all those things can give you folate. If the mother is so malnourished, she doesn't have enough folate, you have increased risk of having these neural tube defects. So there's a encephalocele, there's a space in the midline of the skull, and so some of the brain is pushing out. The last one, if you guys remember, there was a time there's something called Zika virus came. Zika virus. I think was it in Brazil or Argentina, one of the South American places. And that's the moms who had these viruses or viral infections whilst they were pregnant came out with babies with small head and microcephaly. We call it microcephaly or small head. So the brain is the one that gives the instructions. Okay, we said the blueprint is the DNA, the gene, the chromosome. But the brain is like the computer engine house that gives instructions. So once the brain is small, this child can have developmental issues. Okay, then this is cleft lip and palate. This is very common. So this is a defect in either the lip or the palate, which is like the inside of the mouth, either the hard parts or the soft parts, or both. You could have the defects on one side or both sides, any of those things. Risk factor for cleft lip and palate, which is quite common in our country, include alcohol, smoking, folic acid deficiency. So please note that. Then birthmarks on the skins. These are the minor ones. The first one. So some of these defects are so minor. It's just like a unique stamp on the babies. It doesn't cause any harm. It's not going to change the function of the baby, nothing. Okay. These examples are just to show us that you can have birth defects on any part of the body, and they can be minor or they can be major. So the first picture here we call Mongolian blue spots. So these are just clusters of melanin. So the skin, our brown skin, the pigments, or the thing that gives us the pigments in our skin. In Asian babies and African babies especially, sometimes they'll come out with these black patches at their back because they had too much melanin there. The last picture is what we call the stalk bites. So this, in the stalk bites, usually you see it at the back of the necks of some babies. And it's just because there's small blood vessels there are wider, so there's sort of more blood there. These are very simple defects that do not cause anything. You can have facial defects, either extra pigments in the skin or extra blood vessels that can cause hemangiomas in the skin. Then this is the last picture I have for you, spinal defects. Spinal defects are spinal protrusions all along the spine. Sometimes they are hidden, you can't see them. All you see is a rough patch on the lower back or some tufts of hair. And once we see that, we want to go and make sure that the spine has been formed properly so that the child's spine is working properly. So sometimes it's just there, sometimes it's major. The baby will be born and the spine is exposed and the lower limbs are not working or something like that. All these can be part of birth defects. Okay, let's continue. So now let's talk about health education and prevention. So before we go there, let me recap. As I've said, birth defects could be anything, any difference in the way the body is formed, the structure of the body, the way the body is functioning, or the way the baby or the body is developing. Most of the time, more than 60% of the time, is genetic lottery. There's some spelling error in the instruction that has been given, and there's been a change, and it has happened. It's nobody's fault. But sometimes there are risk factors, things that we have done that have happened to us that can cause that. Things like alcohol and drug abuse, smoking, malnutrition, infections, those kind of things can cause it. Okay, so health education, what can we do? The genetic ones we cannot prevent, but at least there are some that we know we can prevent. So this is going to all of us, to educate us, to help us to prevent birth defects. You need to plan ahead as a family, as a couple, as a woman. You need to plan ahead before you give birth. You just don't just give birth like that. Plan. Make sure that your body is healthy. We've said obesity is a risk factor. So if you're obese, you want to lose weight before you get pregnant. If you drink, you want to stop drinking before you get pregnant. If you are using drugs or smoking, you want to stop. If you are unhealthy, as in you are not eating well, you want to make sure that your body is well nourished before you get pregnant. You want to plan ahead. You want to stay away from alcohol during pregnancy. Unfortunately, we do not know what amount of alcohol causes pregnancy, whether it is plenty or it is small. There's no safe amount. We definitely know that if you're taking more, you're more at risk. And if you're taking more, especially during the first and second trimester, you're more at risk. But because we don't know if there are safe levels, it's best not to take at all, especially when you are pregnant. It's best not to take at all. And remember, it's not only hardcore alcohol, it's any alcohol at all. So if you are taking some bitters that has alcohol in it, if you are taking some appetizer that has alcohol in it, you are taking some herbal concoction that is supposed to help you with fertility, but has been mixed with some appetition, all those things is alcohol. You have to take note of those things. Choose a healthy lifestyle. Try preventing infections during pregnancy. How will you prevent infections? Make sure that you're washing your hands. You are making sure you're not getting bitten by mosquitoes. You are keeping yourself clean. You are staying away from things that can give you infections. Then it is advised that all women of childbearing age, especially if you know you can get pregnant, you are sexually active, you can get pregnant, you are in a marriage, you are in a family, you're expecting, start taking some at least 400 micrograms of folic acid supplementation before you get pregnant to reduce the risk of these neural tube defects. Then up-to-date vaccination. Well, the only significant one would be for us would be the rubella, up-to-date vaccinations. Outside, I think they take more vaccinations, but for us, at least your rubella. Okay. So there's something called the pact. Women are encouraged to make a pact for their own health, and if applicable, a healthy pregnancy. So plan ahead for P, avoid harmful substances, choose a healthy lifestyle, talk with a doctor about family and health history. So make a pact. Remember this one, make a pact. Okay. If there are men here, make a pact for your woman. If you are a woman, make a pact for yourself. So what happens? 60% of the time, we cannot prevent it, and it may happen. So a baby has come, they have a minor birth defect. It's just a difference. There's nothing wrong with it. They may have a major one that is going to impact their life. So then what do? Early intervention is always the key. First of all, we have to catch it early. For example, let me use the example for hearing loss or hearing impairment. The research shows us that if you have a baby has hearing impairment, the best time to do something about it so that they get best outcomes with their language is the first 6 weeks of life. 6 weeks, which means that we should get to know immediately that this baby cannot hear, and then find out why is it that this baby is not here. Does this maybe need some amplification? Do they need something to be done? Do we have to start something immediately? If we wait till the child is 4, 5, 6, we've lost those best outcomes. So early intervention is very key. Or maybe this baby came out with a brain malformation or a brain structure malformation or a small head. Once we know immediately, we are giving support, we are referring you to Madam Ida and Sense department so that they can give you all the necessary support to make your foundation strong. So that's what early intervention is. So management, what happens? So it could be different. So those who need surgical management will get surgical management. Those who need just treatment or rehabilitation will get those. Those who need orthopedics, the bone doctors to come in to to sort out the structure will do that. Those who, even after surgery, will need some assistive devices, prosthesis, orthotics, they'll get it. Those who need physiotherapy in the beginning to get their muscles stronger will get it. Those who we know that their speech will be affected will have to get early speech therapy, occupational therapy, all those things. Why have I repeated speech therapy? Okay. And then special education, if we know their learning will be affected. So it's a multidisciplinary management. Everybody is on board. But most importantly, the family, the nuclear family, is the one driving this when it comes to birth defects. So I have some advice for parents on this journey. You may have a child who has maybe a moderate to major birth defects, and that has caused lifelong impacts or are currently causing disability or challenges. You need to acknowledge and deal with your emotions. And it is tough. I'm just saying it, but I know it is tough. But you need to acknowledge and deal with it. If you need help, you need to seek help. If you find out you are getting depressed about it, you've been to the hospital, you've given birth, and this has happened, the doctor has told you this is what your baby has, you're feeling depressed, you need to seek help. You need to talk to somebody. You need to seek professional help if you have to. Because, as I always say, if you are not healthy, you are not strong, how are you going to look after your child? You understand? So you need to acknowledge and deal with your emotions. Then, once you start this journey, we said every journey matters. All the journeys matters. Celebrate with your child. Celebrate the strengths and the little successes, okay? Get early intervention. Be involved as a parent. All the successes I've seen with children with special needs, with developmental challenges, with birth defects, those who get good outcomes, the parents and the families are all 110% involved. I mean, last week I was saying that one kid I saw had done so well. I was like, this one, I haven't seen this kind of progress in such a short time. The mother was fully involved, doing things that even the therapist was not doing. So you need to be involved as a parent. And the only way to be involved as a parent is when you have acknowledged and dealt with all your emotions. I mean, you may not finish, but at least you've acknowledged them and you've gotten the strength to continue. So get involved as a parent. Don't leave it. If you leave it, it won't be done. Learn as much as you can. Find different ways and alternative sources of income, because unfortunately in our country, a lot of these things, and in fact, all of them are not free. And the government is not going to subsidize anything. They haven't started. We hope they will, but they haven't started, and it's all on you as a family, as a parent. So find different alternative and innovative ways of getting alternative incomes to support your child. And then always work it with a multidisciplinary team. Don't waste your time with charlatans who tell you that I can cure your child of Down syndrome, or I can cure your child of autism, when what they are saying is not proper. It's very important. This is my last slide. Okay, this is my last slide. Advocacy and stigma reduction. I think this is probably the most important for me. We've learned about birth defects. We've learned how they come about, the risk factors. But most important, we've learned that majority of the time it's nobody's fault. And these children who are alive and who are with us, the moderate and major ones, they have basic human rights. They have the rights to life, the rights to survival, the rights to good development. They have the rights not to be discriminated against, and they have the rights that the best is done for them. These are their basic human rights, or some of their basic human rights. So I want us to go look at the pictures I've put here. A snowflake. Look at these different shapes. And it's true, apparently all the snowflakes that come, each one is different. None of them look the same. Look at nature, different kinds of flowers, they all look different. Even our thumbprints, they say even twins don't have the same thumbprints. It's different. So difference does not mean less. And difference, it doesn't mean it's evil or a curse. Birth defects are not spiritual. They are not punishments. Variety, difference, and uniqueness is essential to a balanced world, and diversity is part of nature. So we need to respect basic human and child rights for survival, for life and development. But this last one, ignorance begets stigma. Usually if you don't know, and we can't blame them, if you don't know, and you have heard that, oh, if somebody has this condition, it means that the spirits are at them. So you don't want your child to sit by them. You don't want that your child to be in the same school as them. You don't want them to sit by you in church. It's because you don't know. And that's why we are doing this advocacy and we are teaching. So I want you guys to now be advocates that genetic and birth defects are not spiritual. They're not contagious. And once people know about them and they are not afraid, then stigma will reduce. And for those already who know, you have to lend a helping hand and do not continue the stigma. So neurodiversity is not a defect. I've said that already. It's a beautiful variation of the human experience. Thank you. Thank you. I'll stop here for questions.
Wow, that's a lot. Thank you so much, Doc. I know we've all enjoyed it because the comments in the chat box even tells us so. We are grateful for making it, for teaching us, helping us and encouraging us to be advocates also. So we say a very big thank you to you, Doc. And a very big thank you to the audience also, or our guests who graced the occasion. We are so grateful. However, I would like to apologize also. Unfortunately, we weren't able to stream live on Facebook, but since the program is being recorded, we would keep it and it would be shared on our social networking sites so you can have access to it whenever you'd like to. And please tell a friend to also go there, watch, come and enjoy, and ask all the questions. Let's not stop here. Let the conversation continue on our different social networking sites. If you have any questions, concerns whatsoever also, you can definitely reach us at Mission Pediatrics. So let me go on to the comments. I had to mute everyone so Doc could have the peace and quiet to deliver. But since we are done with that, I can now comfortably open up. If anyone has a question, a comment, or a concern, please, you can show by hand or you can type it in the comments or chat box so that it is opened. You are given access to talk and all that and do anything that you want to do. So please, if you have any comments, questions whatsoever. Oh, okay. Before I even finish, someone's hand is up. Let me go straight to to Sabina Dadzi. Kindly unmute and ask your question or comment.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. Sister, I would like to know if a surrogate mother with a genetic history of genetic history like birth defect, can she give birth to an abnormal baby? Thank you.
Doc, you're muted, please.
Okay, so the host is been muting me. Oh.
Sorry.
Okay, all right. I was saying that's a good question. Do you want to collect questions or I should answer it one as we go?
Okay, then let me take a number of them because I see two more hands.
Okay.
Kindly unmute yourself, Pastor Michael Loas.
All right. Thank you so much, Doc, for the great and wonderful, powerful presentation. My question is that birth defects, could they be delayed to show up in later days? Because I have one case at hand now where the lady is 18, but she's now showing up with a tremor of the head. And I don't know if tremors are also part of birth defects that develop later, or it is something that the child had to pick it along the way. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you too so much, Pastor Michael Loas. So our next person would be Dr. Adai, and then Russell would ask and Doc would answer, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm actually joining you from the US here. My name is Dr. Yusuf Ade. I'm an OBGYN, currently delivering babies right now on call. A friend of mine just sent me the link, the link. And I say, oh, just me hop on as I'm in my room here reading. So first, I appreciate that you are actually able to create this type of forum for Ghanaians to be able to ask questions. Obviously, I'm originally from Ghana and I come home every year. I do a lot of maternal mortality related things in Ghana. And so, I'm very familiar with the topic that you're talking about, and that is my daily life over here. So I just want to thank you for actually giving the forum for the Ghanaians to be able to see this. And the most important takeaway from this is that it's nobody's fault. It's a normal part of life. And when I grew up in my villages, when people were born with, Down syndrome, it's like a curse, and they want to go and kill the baby. I saw you show the baby that had anencephalic babies. We say they have a frog baby, right? We have a lot of stigma attached to this, and I'm glad that you are making the effort to destigmatize the whole idea of how life is, right? And so I can be a help on the forum. If you want me to help chime into any of the questions that have been asked, I will be able to provide some answers to some of the questions that have been asked too. So I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adai. Okay, so then we have two people to help us answer the questions. So
yes,
more questions then. Russell, please, kindly
Yeah,
unmute.
maybe let me add this one. This one may not be directly to Doc, but I think if you go to the Western world, they have advocacies and every child matters. Is it possible that we can also, as a group and a team of people over there, try as much as possible to have it that? I have one doctor in Canada who is himself suffering from spinal bifida, but now he's a doctor who helps people with that condition. And you go to some hospitals and they are there, rehabilitation, a big one in Canada here, where they are so much helping people to live better, people in wheelchairs, and they all matter. So is it possible that we can have that in our sub-region? Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you. Yeah, it's very important. It's important. Ada, let me answer the questions, otherwise I'll forget.
Okay, so if you have kindly hold on for a while,
Okay.
Doc, please go ahead.
Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you so much for those of you who are joining us to support. We are really blessed to have you. And indeed, everybody matters. And the theme for this month for birth defects is that every journey matters. And indeed, it's very true that when it comes to special needs in our sub-region, it's sad what families have to go through to survive. And so yes, we are all ready to champion the cause for this one. If we have people who have who have contacts in the big governments, please let us know, because we need their help when it comes to this one. So for the question for the surrogates. So when it says surrogates, it means that the mom or the lady is becoming or this one I should have let Dr. Adai answer, since he's the OBGYN. Let me answer, and then Dr. Adai, please, you add on to it. The woman is just being like the incubator or the oven, but the baby and the instruction, and you remember the letters I told you about, the letters and the words and the books that is coming to the baby, that instruction is all coming from the biological mom and dad. And the surrogate lady is just housing and a temporary housing for the baby. So no, if that surrogate mom has any genetic defects, no, it's not going to be imprinted on the baby. Dr. Adai, am I right?
Yeah, you're right. like just that sometimes provided the baby has no genetic material from the surrogate, sometimes the one supposed to be the biological mother doesn't have good eggs, so we end up using the surrogate egg to do the surrogacy, and that's when then that can happen. Now over here in North America and in Europe, we screen them, the surrogate, anybody who's donating the egg, we will screen them for genetic diseases before they become that type of surrogacy, if that's what is needed. But if it's a couple who have their sperm and their egg and they are just putting somebody to house the baby, then that baby does not carry the genetic material of the surrogate. So we don't anticipate, we don't see that.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Great to have you by my side.
Yeah, you are good. This is very good that you guys can do this. Yeah.
Okay. So we've answered that question. For Osofo asked about the tremor for the 18 years. So if you remember, for definition, we said for birth defects, these are things, structure, function, and development that happen during pregnancy, birth, and are noticed by the time the baby is born. So many conditions can happen in life after the baby is born that can cause tremors at 18, that can cause tremors as an old age. That will not be a genetic defect. So I don't think so. As we said, some of the defects we may not see, but may be hidden, and we will see later. Okay, so really, also it depends on what is causing the tremor. That's the only way we'll know whether this was there in the beginning and it's now showing itself, or it is an acquired thing. I hope I've answered your question properly. Okay. The other two were, I think they were comments and suggestions, so they were not questions. So we can take more questions now. And before you continue, there's one I saw. I hope we do not. Somebody asked when we can do sickle cell screening. I want to answer that. So now we have newborn screening in Ghana. So once they are born, we can test for sickle cell. So as soon as the child is born, especially if you know you're at risk or your baby is at risk because either you are a carrier and you're a carrier and your husband is also a carrier, you can test immediately. And anytime from newborn till you can test. So as soon as you want, you should be able to test. And in some of the hospitals now, it is routine that the child will go through a newborn screen for that and other newborn issues. Okay, thank you. Please continue.
Okay, thank you, Doc. Okay, thank you, docs. Okay, let me read some comments and then I come to the questions or the concerns from our people, please. Okay, so Pastor Michael says, great presentation from a powerful presenter. God bless you abundantly. Barbara says, I like the bit about letters, words, and book. Thank you for making our parents understand this. Thanks, Doc. Russell also says she is on point. Great presentation. And then you have an applause from Russell again. And the sickle part has been answered. Gloria says, thank you so much for this. Jennifer says, great presentation, authentic, an applause. Then Julia says, super. Stella says it was worth the listen. Okay, and there's a concern here. Russell says that, please, can you explain more on the intermarriage birth defects? And then there's another one from Jennifer saying, does that mean nothing can be done for an autistic child who starts intervention at 8 years?
Okay.
Richard is also asking for the slides. So as I said earlier, the whole recording would be publicized, so you would have access to it. So do I take the two comments from Ikuya and Sabina before, or you like to answer?
No, let me answer before we go to them. Let me start with the 8 years. So remember, intervention is never useless. Even if the person is 40 years, it's never useless, even in autism spectrum disorder. What I said about early intervention is that the earlier the intervention, the greater the outcomes. And so I want us to, try and do it as early as possible. However, no, it doesn't mean that nothing can be done for an 8-year-old who is on the autism spectrum. Plenty can be done. So intervention is never late. Okay, it's never late. Okay. And then somebody wanted about the intermarriage. I was hoping to gloss over that one quickly so that I don't get any questions. But you see,
yeah, let me help you at that.
Yes.
Okay, that.
Okay.
Yes, it's not a great thing. Most of the genetic disorders, they are what we call the autosomal recessive. What it means is that if you have only one gene, normally you get away with it. It doesn't cause too much trouble for you. If you get a double hit, that's when you get the disease comes. And so if you have the gene running through the family, then if you intermarry, the chance that the babies are going to get these diseases are very high.
Yeah.
That's why it's very common among the Jews, because they were intermarrying. So yes, we strongly discouraging intermarrying, marrying from the same family. I'm an Ashanti and I've been discouraging marrying your cousins. It's not a great thing. Yes, you can keep the family properties within the family, but you may end up getting children who are not healthy. Yeah. So nature like mixing things up. Find somebody somewhere, they got stronger genes too. You marry them, you get stronger babies. So if you want me to say it in tree, I will say it in tree. Awari awari fie no enye papa wafa say what na wafa say ni na say ba enye. Say yare o fie ho a na aka ho. Sickle cell no ye spread ye ho a won say entama. Wari fie na ye wo sickness no. That's what is going on. And yes, board man a best sensitive, but there's a timika.
I know.
Right?
I
so
know.
that is the bottom line.
Yeah.
Say we are rabba wako school. That's all person who up and offer say you have to think about that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Insightful. Thank you so much. Okay, so Ikea, please ask your question.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Mine is a contribution. I'm a child and adolescent mental health specialist, nurse specialist, and it's on alcohol-related birth defects. Most often when it comes to fetal alcoholic syndrome, we do blame the woman for taking alcohol. But alcohol use in fathers, don't forget that it's a man and a woman that comes together to form the baby. So alcohol use in fathers was linked to a decrease in birth weight and also marked reduction in overall brain size and impaired cognitive function of the fetus. And a research was carried out that focused on how a man's lifestyle could cause epigenetic changes in his sperm DNA that could eventually affect these children. So taking alcohol, both parents can contribute to alcohol-related birth defects. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ikea. That's really important. Thank you so much for adding that. And just to continue, sometimes even apart from the epigenetics, I mean, once you're an alcohol user and you've become, addicted and everything, some of even the surrounding the home, the mom who is stress in pregnancy can cause all sorts of things. And then, abuse. If you're alcoholic, you're more likely to be abusing and doing all sorts of things. So definitely, that the alcohol is for both men and women. Thank you very much.
Good. So Sabina, please go ahead with your question or comment.
Thank you for the opportunity. Please, I would like to know if sickling tests can be done for a baby in utero. Thank you.
Okay.
Dr. there.
Yes, in America here, we do that. We do surgeries in utero when a baby is, the spinal bifida, we begin to fix them when the baby is in the womb now. Some of the hard defects, we try to fix them when they are in the womb now. And so, yes, we do. Now, it's a very sophisticated surgery that, is at the end of something which is available in Ghana.
Yeah.
but it's something that we do.
She was asking about sickle cell. I mean, for us in Ghana, I know for those that there's a program now in one of the hospitals who, if you are doing IVF, they can select the eggs and the sperm such that the gametes doesn't have the sickle cell gene if you are carriers.
Yeah,
But,
so we can test
yeah.
the egg and the sperm to see whether they are carriers.
Mhm.
And so that one we can do, just that's preconceptionally. We
Yeah.
can do that.
Yeah.
Now, to add to what they were talking about, the fetal alcohol syndromes, the bottom line is that, over 80% of us, we don't plan to become pregnant. We just get pregnant and they just go on, right? And as you can see, the woman may be pregnant for a long time before even know that they are pregnant.
Yeah.
And most of the important organs, they are formed before you are 10 weeks, okay?
Yeah.
And so you don't know. So when you are a woman and you are a childbearing age, you have to be very careful what you put in your body.
Yeah.
It's just that is the bottom line. A lot of the things that they are selling on the streets in Ghana, a lot of the blood tonic, whatever, you don't know what is in there.
Mm-hmm.
So most of them are not necessary for you. So don't put things in your body. Now, one thing I see is that the skin bleaching industry. A lot of the things, skin bleaching, the lotions that they use is very, very toxic for a baby. If the baby is formed, they are, in our language, they say they are teratogenic.
Yeah.
They just destroy the cells and they make abnormal organs form. And so just be aware of that. I think that is the most important here. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
So there's one question in the chat box also that is asking from Alberta is asking that is oral dysfunction, can it also be classified as genetic?
I need what kind of oral dysfunction?
Now, if that person can speak, maybe
Yes.
if you can make a mute and then maybe.
Please clarify what you mean by oral dysfunction.
Classic.
Yeah.
Alberta, please, if you're on the call, kindly raise your hand.
If you can't, just put some clarifiers down so that we can answer for you. It's a bit vague.
Okay. So then, anyone having any question, any concern, any other thing you'd like to share with us? We are all ears. It looks like I'll have to apologize again for not being able to exceed our limits and open up our Facebook, but we'll still have the recording shared to you. Okay.
Yeah, so let me answer the question about the oral dysfunction, if that's what they mean. Sometimes babies are born and they have some muscle disease, we call muscle dysclostrophies, and it may not be able to have the baby either swallow or they have difficulty swallowing. So if that's what the person is asking about, there's several causes of that, and some of them can be genetic, and a lot of them are just sporadic. They just happen with that particular pregnancy. So if they had a specific disease that you wanted to know about, maybe we can actually let them know whether that one is genetic or not.
Or not, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Adai. Okay, so all too soon, we are coming to a close. I would like to say a very big thank you. That is, if no one has any question, concern, comments, then we can end the meeting. However, we would like to say a very big thank you.
Sorry, this is Dr. David. Sorry, I was trying to raise my hands, but I couldn't get the buttons to do that.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay,
hey,
go ahead.
Is it Fido? Is it Fido?
Yes.
That's my classmate.
Thank you very much, Marilyn. That's very insightful, and you made it very easy. Well, in my line of work, I also tend to see some of the congenital anomalies, the clefts and congenital hand anomalies and all. I think the advocacy is very good, but we need to educate our midwives, especially those in the hinterlands, because they tend to see a lot of these, and they need to know, or they need to understand what they see, and then know where to send them. Because if they don't understand them, then it becomes very difficult, or they tend to refer them very late. I mean, it's good to refer them to the appropriate place early, so that interventions can be started early. So I think the education should go towards that aspect. I think that would help us identify them early, and then intervene as early as possible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. One of the articles that I read before, getting the statistics for Ghana, one of them, the mortality rate, I think it was the Tamale one, was like 33% or so. And it was saying that it was because of delays. So maybe a big omphallo cell or a spinal bifida, the way it's handled right in the beginning before it's transferred from the small hospital or the small clinic to the big hospital. By the time it comes, they are infected or something is happening. So that's a really good one. Thank you, Dr. Davis.
Yeah, just to add my voice to both those two esteemed doctors just said, as you mentioned in the slide, one of the most important things is the folic acid. When you are pregnant, making sure that they take folic acid. If you are going to take any vitamins, make sure there's folic acid in it. And I don't know whether this can be done, but like the midwives in the community, when they are sending the patient for scans, there's some specific organs that it should be part of the report. So the baby's heart or the baby's brain, right? So the early intervention part that make it important is if you can see this before they deliver, then you can refer them to a higher level of care. So if you are in the hinterland somewhere and you know a baby is going to be born with a heart defect that may not live there, you may want to send them to the city so that they can deliver in the hospital there. Then they can try to figure things out. That's going to be, in our situation, that's probably going to be the best way. Instead of delivering and transporting the baby, it's always better to transport the mama to the place where the baby will get care so that he can deliver there. Thank you.
Thank you. Today I'm blessed to have big doctors with me. Thank you so much.
No, you are the biggest one. It's because of you that you are here.
So let me add. So before I asked one of our dietitians for our local foods that have good folates. So let me read out what she said. So all the green leafy vegetables, so the bokobokos, the kuntumres, the okros, all those things are very good. The turkey berries are the quensisua. Is it quensisua? The quensisua. Then any whole grain. She says citrus fruits like oranges, grapefruit, lime, pawpaw, banana, the legumes like beans, nuts, and all the different seeds. And they said some varieties of tomatoes, but I don't know which tomatoes. So as much as possible, eat fruits and veggies and eat well and whole, organic, and keep away from things that you're not sure what's inside. Thank you.
Marilyn, can I help? It's corn susua.
Yes, Sister Ajwa. Corn susua. Thank you. Or abedru. It's also called abedru. I'm a Ghana speaking tree, so you have to help understand. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so well, we have some few comments here from Philomena Frimpong saying a big thank you to you, Dr. Marvel, for the insightful lecture. And we love you, your baby girl in ATV. Also says, nice presentation, kudos. Sheila Hammond says, hey, don't go, please. Okay, so very insightful session. God bless you, Dr. Marvel, and your team. Jones is asking where he would get the slides and the recording. And thank you for this education. And please, you would have it, or you'll be able to access it on our Mission Pediatrics Facebook page. On our Mission Pediatrics Facebook page. If there are any other alternatives, like on YouTube or any other thing, we would share the link, we would spread the word so that you can also spread the word and then have access to it, please. George is also asking, please, is there any platform to get in touch, I think, with the doctors after the presentation for further education? And then Fafali is also saying thank you. Okay, so Dr. Adai is in the US. Dr. Mabel is here in Ghana. She is with us at Mission Pediatrics. She's our boss. Which
So sorry, Iva. Dr. Adai puts his email address there. So if anybody urgently
No,
wants
I
to
send it to you. I send it to you privately. So,
sorry.
which is okay. You
Yeah.
are organizing this. You are in charge.
So they should get in touch with me.
If they get in touch with you,
yes,
and you think I'll be helpful in helping them,
okay.
I run non-for-profit in Ghana. I come there every year.
Okay.
So
okay.
I'm a Kumasi guy, and so I come there, come for some Pupunia Benkwai. So
okay. Okay.
If anything, health related, you can reach out to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So Ida, do you have a parents roundtable link available? Because I'm on that page, so you can reach me on that page, please. The one who wants to be in touch. So all the programs that we do, we will advertise on. We have a parents roundtable page just for parents. We'll advertise there. So if you are not on that page, you can join. And if you're an educator, we have one for teachers too. You could join that one. Yeah. And if you need to reach Dr. Davis or Dr. Ade, you can reach me and I'll connect you. Thank you.
So let me just give the Mission Pediatrics contact, and then it would.
Okay, they can call. Okay.
You can call, book your
or
appointment,
WhatsApp.
and
Okay.
WhatsApp, anything, so that we share all things that we need.
Can you put a link there in the chat for them?
Okay.
Yes, please.
I think that would be the easiest.
So the Mission Pediatrics contact number is 024. Let me type it as I say it, please. So 024 724 1447. This is for Mission Pediatrics. You can reach us. It's also on WhatsApp, so you can WhatsApp the number, and then let me get the links for the parent roundtable and the others so that you can also join, please.
Is Godfred online?
No, please.
Hey, today Godfred has abandoned us. I'm putting, something. I'll put in our website there, missionclinicgh.com. It has links to the Facebook. It has links to the YouTube page.
Excellent.
And I think I can get Godfred to put the link to the parents roundtable there, so you can reach out to the website too.
Nice.
Okay. All right.
That saves us a lot. Okay, so please kindly visit our websites, and then you can have access to all the other pages that we are on. You can reach out, you can contact us, you can call us. Whatever question, concern, comment, anything, please share with us. But we say a very big thank you for making a date with us. And we are so grateful that you told a friend and told another, and then everyone is here. Fortunately, Dr. Adai is here with us today and commented and contributed to this program because someone shared the link with him. So we say a big thank you to you all. Please don't let the education stop here. And this is just the beginning. This is just for January. February is our rare diseases awareness. So we'll be talking about rare diseases. Make a date with us on the 4th Sunday, the same time, 5 p.m. Dr. Ade, we hope we'll be seeing you and all the others.
Yeah, I'm going to let me share my cell phone with you so that it's.
So please do make a date with us. However, bear in mind that in February we are having. Did I say February? Please pardon me. In July we are having a special education webinar. Last year we had to go in person. This year we are back online. So anyone, anywhere can also join us. Our flyers will be coming out very soon. But please do make a date with us next month on the 4th Sunday. And the 4th Sunday is dated February 25th. So on the 25th of February, please join us. 5 p.m. we are starting. I mean the Ghana time, 5 p.m. Not the Ghana man time, please. 5 p.m. GMT.
GMT.
Yes. The Ghana one, I beg you. Because when it's 5, we are starting and we would end when it's 6:30. That is if we don't have any other thing or concern or anything. We'd end at 6:30. But aside that, we are grateful you came. Please sharing the message with all. Thank you all for coming.
Dr. Ade, you said you were sharing. Share it
Yeah,
privately.
I'm looking for your name again.
Okay.
I can't find you anymore.
That one.
Maureen, let me send you a
Let me
hi.
share with you have my email, right?
Yes. Okay. Yes. So I'll send you a hi on email.
Yes, hi email. Let me send to you.
Okay.
I can't find you on the chat anymore. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll email you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys. Please make a date with us next month.
Thank you.
We're having our rare diseases discussion. So please don't forget, make a date with us. Join us next month. And next month, our Facebook Live will be on. So don't worry. When even exceeds 100, we would go to Facebook, please. Forgive us for this time. We are pleading. But next month, we are up and running. Thank you all and have a very good evening. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining. Dr. Coy. Dr. Coy, thanks for joining.
Bye.
Dr. Swansea, Dr. Fido, Dr. Dai. Thank you so much, everybody. Everybody, thanks for joining.
Doc, you forgot to say thank you to yourself.
Tell me, I'm the host, so. Okay.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
I'm not going anywhere. I don't want it to end.
Hey. Okay.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
I am here too. I want more.
Oh, you get more, please.
You get more next month.
But there are other recordings of our Parents Roundtable. A lot of things. It's available on our YouTube and Facebook pages. Please, Parents Roundtable on YouTube. I should have shared the link. I'm so sorry. Please go on Facebook, on YouTube. Just type Parents Roundtable, and then you would have all the recordings that we've had over the years. We have about 3 years worth of information, a whole lot of knowledge. Please go onto our YouTube pages and then get a lot more from there. Thank you so much, everyone.
Mr. Mabel, I have made some referrals. Please be expecting them next week.
Okay, I'll be expecting them. Thank you.